So does anybody else have any new business that they want to bring up? Okay, then Curtis, the floor is yours, buddy.
Okay. Appreciate it. Could we go through all of the photos now and just go ahead and get that out of the way? Okay, and then it'll be kind of out of order. First of all, I did a dumb. This is not my original phone. My original phone is somewhere in the bottom of the Mississippi River. And don't laugh, please. This is $1,500 worth of replacement. This is $1,500 worth of replacement. I had a fantastic photo show set up for both the box making class and the finishing class. It was just knock down, drag out, and I really feel like a heel. But anyway, I don't want to bore you with that. So the photos that I have here are the ones that I took at home since I brought my projects back, and I actually did the final assembly and finishing, shellacking and what have you. So not all of them are going to be in exact, precise order like I would like, but that's okay. I'll explain each photo as we come to it, and then I'll go back to the boxes and I'll bring you up to date there. Okay, shellac. This is from class number 2, David Shaw. I learned an awful lot about finishing. I could talk to you about finishing probably for 2 hours. I don't want to do that. I want to talk about boxes tonight. This is one of those little gizmo things where you put a little metal guy in the middle of that. You turn the magnet on, and it gets your liquid all agitated, and the shellac melts and what have you. This is a big bag of shellac that I purchased on the internet. He's got a partner. I bought 2 bags of shellac, garnet and blonde. Okay, and here is half of 1 whole pint of shellac that I made myself. Okay, and I'm really proud of that. And I got about 5 coats on 2 of my boxes. That was maybe a half pint of fluid. Okay, so I bought 25, maybe 30 years worth of shellac, so I have some shellac for sale, $5 a bag. And I can tell you how to make it yourself, mix it yourself. All you need is one of these filled with denatured alcohol and a nice pickle jar and whatever you want to agitate it with to get it melted, okay? And you'll have enough shellac for 6 months. This will last 6 months before you have to throw it away. Okay? All right. There is my scale. These things are 2 weighed ounces, and this is 8 fluid ounces. You just mix it together, and you got a 2-pound cut. If you want a 3-pound cut, you put half as much alcohol in it. If you want to have 1-pound cut, you have put half again as much in it. And it'll be as thin or as thick as what you want. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, next slide, please. All right, this is my pride and joy. This is the one that, I'll pass this around if you want. This is a jewelry box. This was the biggest one that I made. This is what it looked like when I brought it home. No, it's not actually. I have some rails in here for a tray. That wasn't there. That's the tray that I made for it. This I made in my downstairs in my laboratory. Okay. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Here's a little close-up. I wanted to put a tray in a jewelry box, but I made the box by itself up at Marc Adams the first week of April. So I came home, did the measurements, figured out what we wanted to do. You guys can come up and look at this. Here it is here. Made a little stay there, put it in, measured it out, put another rail in there on both sides, and I have a little sliding area in the box here. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the first after, this may not be after one coat of shellac, but I made my shellac and I shellacked it when it was still in pieces, okay? You can see a little bit of a reflection from the light, the ceiling light, okay? All right, next slide.
I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you use garnet shellac on that side and block on the other side?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Oh,
I
it's
only
the wood?
made one. And that's
Okay.
part of my presentation. The reason why I only made one was because I did not know how much darker the garnet was gonna make everything. And so I said, keep it simple, don't overthink it, don't screw it up, and just go ahead and make the blonde. The next batch is probably gonna be garnet, and I'll be experimenting with different woods with the garnet to see what kind of color it will actually add to it. The garnet was part of the presentation in the second class I took up there at Marc Adams. They hit that really hard on what the different colors were. Okay? All right, okay. This is back to box making. This is the photo I just took of this is after the fact that I assembled this. This is a tissue box. My wife just loves this. This is really cool. This is box number 6, okay? And this little device that we have here, I've got another one for picture frames. This is what Jerry Forshee, the instructor for the box class, has. They weren't exactly like this, but when I got home, I purchased these off the internet. They were like $30 a piece. And there's clamps right there on all 4 sides, and you got 4 different sticks coming on metal, not grooved, but threaded sticks here. Okay, so it's for clamping. It's a clamp, and you glue your mitered sides and what have you, and you just clamp it together. And this is how you do it. You get enough pressure on the bottom and enough pressure on the top. That's why I got 2 of them. I've got another one of these that I bought when I first started woodworking, and you guys have probably seen it. It looks like this, except that it comes in 2 pieces, and the arms flap, and both of them, the arms flap, and you use a little orange spacer guy, and you get your right size frame in there, and you clamp it down, but in the middle, it works by clamping the 2 together. So you could only do something that like a picture frame that lays out flat. With the one that I had, I could not do a 3-dimensional object in the middle like these guys. So these guys can be used for a frame. It can also be used for a 3-dimensional box. So I wanted to show you how this one here, I actually finished, I actually assembled, literally assembled at home in the basement after I got home. I didn't have enough time in the 5-day class to assemble this, but the wood was a plank, okay, this long or so, okay, and it was all totally prepped and ready to go, but I didn't have time to actually slice it into sides, okay? So I just brought the wood home, and I actually made my first cross-cut sled, okay, which we're gonna get to. Okay, next slide, please.
So Curtis,
Yes,
what we're seeing there are 2 $30 clamps.
that's exactly right.
Okay.
Precisely, yes. Okay, here is, I told you, I made this guy in the basement at home after class, okay, and here he is here. Here's some of the prototypes that I worked with. You know, a lot of times we just don't want to start with the best wood we've got and just do a project, right? We want to practice a little bit and make sure that, hey, have I got this thing down? Is it really going to work or what? Well, that's what these 2 guys are. This guy here, he's still got the tape on him. So I just did some experimenting with my new I made, and so I made one, then the other, and then when I felt I'm ready, I made that one. Okay? All right, next slide. There's my cross-cut sled. I made that myself. It's at 45 degrees, and that's good for cutting miters, okay? And this piece, part of it, and that piece, I actually on Katz Moses. I probably didn't need to, but he sent me an ad and said, hey, you want to build your cross-cut sled? Here's the pieces to do it. Okay, fine. I had never done one before, so I bought, I don't know, 35, 40 bucks for this stuff and followed his. This was a piece of scrap in the shop that I had, and these guys here were cutoffs from, or scrap cutoffs. And I just followed the instructions, and I got this guy together. He's at 45 degrees because I needed to cut some miters. Okay, now I need to ask you guys a question. Should I build a separate sled for a 90-degree cut, or should I cut this thing out at 90 degrees and use it for both, I need two of them? Okay, thank you, appreciate that. I wasn't gonna cut it up till I got it.
There is a way to do one sled with two different ones by using one runner and then you flip it around,
Okay,
but.
no, that's fine. I'll build one at 90 degrees. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, the advantage of having this, if you cut it a 90 degree there, you'll have a great big gap there.
And-
And this way, it gives you that definite line, almost like a laser
Right.
line.
And what I was afraid of is that if I made this gap a half an inch across,
Yeah.
the workpiece would slide down inside, right? Does that make sense? Okay, that's what I told myself. But anyway, all right, I'll make another one. Okay, thanks. I see we learn something every day. Yes?
And also, it needs like a 1/4 inch piece of luan. If the bed there would accommodate 90 as well, each time you use it, you put down a 1/4 inch piece of luan for the particular operation, so you have your tight cuts here.
Uh-huh. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay.
That's
Thank-
nice to have.
Okay. All right, next slide, please. Okay, how do you attach a top and a bottom once you've cut it in half? All right, and like I told you, this is a little bit out of order. Well, you clamp the top to the bottom. Okay, so this guy was in, when I manufactured this up there at Marc Adams, I had a 6-sided rectangle. It was hollow in the middle, and all 6 sides were glued together. Okay, and I put it on a table saw and I sliced off this little bit of top, right? Now wait a minute, I gotta get a hinge in here, don't I? Okay, so how do I know that I can get this hinge in here absolutely 90 degrees perfect so that when you close the box, the lid matches with the bottom, okay? So I got my little chain guard on here so it doesn't open up all the way and be flat like this anymore. You just take a couple of clamps, you very carefully set the 2 independent pieces next to each other, and you clamp it down, and you make sure that side is flush and the height between them is flush, is even, because as you can readily see, the bottom is 3.5 inches tall and the top is only 1.5 inches tall. So what you do is you find a couple of sticks and make sure that external stick plus this side equals the same height as what your bottom does. And you sit there and you just clamp them, slowly clamp them, a little bit here, a little bit there, move it, a little bit there, a little bit there. You get it tight enough, and then you can get your hinges into the countersink. And you can get it so that when you close this, it works. Okay? Next slide, please. Okay, there I am. See? That's a 1/8 chisel. Well, all right. We didn't get it exactly perfect the first time. And I'll get to that up there because I cut the countersink in the workshop up there as part of the training. But it was off a little bit. I mean, just a 1/64 of an inch. So I just had to take a real small chisel and just dink, 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 and do the last little bit of making sure that everything was flush and straight. And that here, okay, and I only have a little bit of gap in the back, but the front and the two sides all match up, okay? So that was just a little bit of yes?
Curtis, how did you cut the mortises for the hinges?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
That's part of the presentation. He actually had a, and I had a great photo of it. He had a router table set up, and I'll talk about that, whatever it is. But anyway, excellent question. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, holes are too big. Okay, I did not bring a drill center finder bit. I had to buy a set of 3 drill bits that are set up so that they're center finders, right? But the hinges are very small, and the screws are also very small. And the smallest of the 3 bits was twice the size of the the screw I was using. So I put the screw in there and I pulled it up and I said, what am I going to do here? Aha! Wood glue and little bitty slivers. Okay, I took a piece of scrap, just a real small thumb-sized piece of scrap, and I hammered off just little slivers of wood that were smaller than a toothpick. Okay, I could have gone upstairs and got toothpicks and broke them off and stuck them in there, but I didn't want to do it that way. But I put some glue on the little stick, okay, and then pushed a glued up stick in there, took up all the extra space, laid the hinge in there, took my real little bitty number 0 screwdriver, and got everything in absolutely perfect, let it dry, and just worked like a charm. Okay? All right. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, I got a non-scratch bottom. This is the big guy. Ben is not here tonight. And I really am sorry that Ben is not here to see this. Several months ago, his presentation was a hackberry coffee table. And he just splattered my brains all over this room. It was beautiful. If you didn't see it, it really was. Okay, and this is part of the presentation that I lost when I lost my phone, because the instructor, Jerry Forshee, brought all this wood with him, charged us $100, and said, go back to the wood pile and get everything that you want for all week. You make your boxes out of whatever it is that you want to make. Okay, that's fine. He had a piece of hackberry there, and I grabbed it. And the reason why was because Ben had that incredible table, and I just wanted to do something with hackberry, just because it's so pretty. Okay. This guy, he's done a little different than the other guys. I'll get to that in the presentation. Okay. But next slide, I'll get to what all of this is all about. Okay, and I'm out of order again. My hinge in the countersink and what have you, and this is actually this is actually fixing something. My chisel chopped out a little sliver, and I glued the sliver back in, and this little bitty clamp is holding that sliver back in. So that's repair work. Okay, next slide, please. Here's the tray that goes into this. Okay, and I have the chain. The 3 boxes with hinged lids all have a chain on them to keep the lid from flopping all the way open. Okay, next slide, please. Glue. I wanted to do something for the embellishment on the lid. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I went up to Hobby Lobby and found their hobby craft for dollhouses section, and I bought these things, okay? And here again, if you look real close, when you come up here, you're gonna find one of these corners that's got some holes that don't belong there. And the reason why is because the nail that comes with these things, oh, it was about 3/8 of an inch long, and I had to take a pair of tweezers to hold it up there and a little tack hammer, and it didn't go in. It didn't go in at all. And I knew that that was too small for any drill bit that I had, so I had to junk the idea of using nails to attach this. And Gorilla Glue works. And I didn't bring the sample with me. I made sure I ruined one by putting it down to just a simple nothing piece of wood. And I got it down to make sure that the Gorilla Glue dried clear, and it does. Boy, am I glad too. Okay. All right. So next slide, please.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. I sent you two late the two of them after a while that you didn't. I didn't call you and tell you to expect two more.
No.
Okay. That's good, guys. Any questions? I went through that real quick. Okay.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
The tissue box, how'd you cut the hole in the top? Was it
Oh,
rubber?
that's a marvelous question. The instructor had a perfect jig set up. It's done. I had to drill a hole in it. I put it in a scroll saw, and I got it out to mostly around the pencil line, and then he had another jig set up that had a roundover router bit. I used a router to get it. Okay, good question. Thank you. And I have a total of 6 of these. I can make 6 boxes. All right, and don't ask me what my wife wants. Don't ask me. Okay, all right. So, oh, okay, I'll get to that. All right, I'm gonna get to that. Stop! What was that? Yeah, okay, what?
Curtis, you mentioned that the slack will go bad. I'm not familiar with slack.
Shellac?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a
What-
shelf
what
life.
is
If it
it?
doesn't have any preservative in it, it has a shelf life of about 6 months.
Does it mold or does it harden?
You know, I'm not sure. I think it,
It typically doesn't mold, but instead you can put it on, when it dries, it stays tacky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than hardening up.
Okay.
And that's the shellac going bad.
okay.
Won't dry.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. All right. This is box number in sequence. I had a Monday through Friday class, 5 days. The instructor's name was Jerry Forshee. Okay. Really cool guy. He was in his 70s. He got started woodworking a number of years ago. He went to Marc Adams as a student. He's got a plaque on the wall. Okay. And he came back to teach. And he does boxes. Okay. Total 5-day work plan. And it was really, really cool. He explained everything that he wanted to do and step by step and whatever. The first 2 boxes we made were his design, his sizing, and everything that he wanted to do. Okay, here, let me go through this part of it. Marc Adams has got a classroom that might be a little larger than this room. And he's got a workbench, 2 columns of workbenches, 8 of them down this column, 8 of them down that column. He's got clamps all along the walls. Okay, that's the workroom. Okay, lots of space. He's got a stage up here for a table for the instructor. He's got 2 closed-circuit television systems set up with cameras so that you can watch him do his thing, and you can sit out here and you're looking at a television screen, and you can actually see him dealing with a 3/4 inch long nail. okay? And it's one from this side, and they have a second technician on the other side, okay? So that's the classroom. Now, the workroom that is attached to it is even cooler because, and I had to sit down and remember this, and you can fill in any error I make. Okay, so the classroom had 16 workbenches for students, an instructor bench, 4 saw stop table saws, each with setups and blocks for proper cutting. 4 table saws. At least 5 routers were set up throughout the week for the various tasks to do, the countersinking task and all of the rest of the cutting jigs and what have you, okay? There was at least 1 drill press there for this guy here and whatever else. Hand saws that we used. There were 4 jointers. There were at least 5 planers set up, all for 16 students, okay? There were 3 chop saws along the wall. There were 2 sanding downdraft tables where you turn it on and the tabletop has got holes in it, and the wind, the air compressor blows down, so the sawdust from the orbital sander goes down into the trap, and you don't have to wear respirators, okay? He set up a special painting finishing table that was a 4x8 area with everything for shellac that we were using in that particular class, okay? And plus all the rest of the stuff I don't recall. And I have to admit, the classroom setup out there, guys, never been there, it'll blow your cotton picking mind. We had at least 4 other volunteer helpers, plus 2 guys that work for Marc Adams in that classroom all week long. The instructor brought his own tools and supplies and wood, and a 5-day classroom agenda. We'll do this on Monday, that on Tuesday, etc. I did not bring the computer stick card. Every student got the whole presentation in computer file access availability. If you are computer savvy, you just you put the stick into the USB port in your computer, and you can just bring it up in either Pages or whatever program you have to use it. Okay, all 5 days of instructions and what have you, he has that for you to take home. Okay, blows me away. The wood. He had maybe 10 of these size boxes of small pieces of wood, and he was very specific about it. He said, this is not junk wood, these are cutoffs, and we don't throw cutoffs away, we use the cutoffs. I mean, there was every kind of piece of wood you could ever imagine. Purple heart, hackberry, cherry, maple, walnut, the whole shooting match, everything that you could imagine. And there was at least 10 of those boxes of smaller pieces that, if you wanted to you found the right piece of wood for the right lid or the right bottom, okay? Then he had stacks of wood along the wall, of longer pieces, like this, okay? Of every kind of wood that you could ever imagine, that you would use for the 4 sides, okay? And he said, it's all back there, write me a check for $100 at the end of the week, and you can take whatever you want. Unbelievable. The shellac station was set up, and I've got another hour's worth of stuff, and I only got a half an hour. Okay, all right, I'm gonna skip. This is sequential box number 1. I'll pass it around. Look at the miters. The bottom is just a 1/8 piece of whatever it was. One of the table saws was set up to be a jig, and we took the individual pieces before we glued them together, and we cut a channel in here in the bottom, along the bottom rim on the inside of it. Okay, And then we went to one of the other routers, and there's a little chamfer, the 45-degree angle chamfer, okay? And we did that to each of the pieces. This is my lid. I have no idea what it is. I thought the little stripe down the middle was really, really cool, so I latched onto it. He had another table saw set up at 17 degrees, and we did the 4 sides, okay? Then we did another router to route out this, and
I have
it
a question
works.
on the bottom. Did you glue the bottom in at all, or is it
Didn't
just
need to,
the- okay.
didn't need to, but I think I put a couple spots of glue on it
Yeah,
just to
that's
keep
good.
it,
Yep.
okay?
Did you put like one on each edge or
Yeah,
something?
just a very small amount of glue. And then he had a drill press set up, and as you see it, there's some brass brads in there. He had the drill press set up so that all he had to do was move your piece up against the fence all the way to the back, and you would get the holes drilled exactly perfectly where he wanted you to have them. And then after you put shellac on it, then you hammered in the brass nails just to make it look a little prettier. Okay. This one may or may not yet. I don't know yet. I may glue one of my wife's seashells onto it, or I may glue a wooden thimble on top and give it to her as a sewing box. Anyway, I'll pass this around. Okay, go ahead and take a look at that. That is box 1. On day 1, that was about the only thing that we worked on. Okay, because he wanted us to get used to using the saws that he had set up and the techniques that he had set up. And the other thing that was really cool about it was, just like everything they do up there, you don't turn on, as a student, you do not turn on a piece of saw equipment or electric stuff that's got something spinning on it until you go through a safety demonstration speech. And most of the 16 of us, I think there was actually only 15, there was one person didn't show. Just about everybody had at least as much experience. And some of them were a hell of a lot better at it than what I am. There's no doubt in my mind. I couldn't believe that these people were in a class. Maybe they just wanted to come, I don't know. But he assumed that everybody needed to have that safety speech on everything that they set up, and that's probably Mark Adams' rule anyway. And I was really very favorably impressed with the fact that they took, here's how you use a joiner, folks. Here's how you use a chop saw. Here's how you use this one and that one. Every time that we got to a point in box construction, they explained what the machine was that was going to do it, and they had that safety speech for the class. So it was very well done. This is box number 2 on day number 2. Just like the first one, it's got a removable lid. I have never done a box joint in my life until I got a chance to do this. He had a router set up with, what is this, a 1/4 inch? I guess this is a 1/4 inch here. He had a router set up. He had the whole thing set up. He had us mill the sides to this size and to that size and to this size and to this size. Okay, and he got his little measuring guy out, and he had the little pincer thing.
Calipers.
Yeah, calipers. Thank you. Okay, and we had to pass inspection, and I did. Okay, and he just showed you how to do the 2 long sides. Okay, and then because you have to go this other half distance on the tail part of it. Okay, so he showed us how to do that. And we did all of that, and we did the 4 sides together. Came together like a champ. It's actually 90 degrees all the way around. Before we glued it up, we ran the bottom piece of this through another router, okay, and we cut out a channel for the bottom. So the bottom, again, is just measured out, okay, on your workbench with a ruler, and you push your piece through a table saw or whatever. You can see here, when you get up close to it, you can see that I got a chance to round this, okay? I did that very carefully, okay? Got it to fit in the whole shooting match, okay? The top, you're gonna have to tell me what kind of wood is that? And, okay, the top is made out of oak, and what's the bottom made out of? Okay, I got an oak and a maple, okay? And the reason why is because I just went back there and I started grabbing wood that looked like it was cool to work with, okay? So this is, I really am kind of proud of the fact that it's a little bit of everything. And that's what was so important about this particular class. So again, in this box, he had us route out the underside of it, okay, so that it fits, okay? And he had us round over this a little bit on a router, okay, specifically set up for it. He made us size it perfectly, and then we glued it together. We glued the four sides together, glued the bottom on, okay, and finished the top, and it fits. Now, most of the guys in the class went over to the finishing station, the shellac station, and they finished their product there before they started the next box. I knew before I walked into the class that I was going to come back in 4 weeks and take another 5-day finishing class. So I did not finish this that week. Okay, I just constructed it and I brought it home. Then 4 weeks later, I brought this whole conniption fit back up to Mark Adams and showed these to David Shaw, who taught the finishing class. I said, what should I do with this, and blah, 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 blah. So when I was up there, I put some tape on this, tape on that, and I actually used a spray gun for clear shellac on this. If you look close, if you look real close on whatever side it is, there's a little bit of a run there that I didn't bother to sand out. Okay? Now, as far as finishing this, the inside of this has got Rubio on it. Because when I brought all this stuff home, I still had some Rubio left over from the last set of projects I was doing. And I put clear Rubio on the inside. It's got shellac on the outside. Okay, I'll strike that one around this side. Okay, so that was day 2. I got 3 days left. Yahoo, man, I'm really excited. I'm freaking out in the whole 9 yards. In terms of sequence, this is box number 3, okay? And this is box number 4, and this is box number 5 in terms of how I did it sequentially. All right, so box 3, here's the rest of my hackberry, okay? I really used it a whole lot. He introduced me to something called a story stick. How many of you folks have heard the phrase story stick? All right, he showed us how to use it and what it is. He had a total box full of these things. These just look like cut up paint sticks. Is all they look like. This is what you map out. You map out what you're going to do here with one of these in terms of sizing. The story stick is exactly the same length as what the overall outside dimension is. Okay. And I'll pass this around for you along with the box when we get there. And again, this box has hinges on it. The other 2 are free tops, right? The rest of these 3 are all constructed the same way. The only difference between any of the 3 is the overall size and some of the bottom techniques and what have you. Okay, these guys were made exactly, precisely, identically the same. I made the story stick, I routed out on this one, I routed out both the top and the bottom about 1/4 of an inch or so that the top could fit down into it when it was constructed. I routed out the bottom side. Again, this is all before, the routing part of it was all done before it was manufactured, before it was glued together. Again, and in this one I made the top and the bottom kind of proud, just for aesthetics, okay? I took all of these individual pieces, 6 individual pieces, and ran them through the router. Okay, this one here is a 45-degree chamfer, okay, on the top and the bottom. And the actual side pieces and long pieces are also that same 45-degree square, okay. As you get into this one, I did the same thing with this one, except I used a round bit instead of the 45-degree angle bit. Just so that it was just essentially the same, but just it had its own personality, okay. So then came the fun part. I glued 6 pieces of wood together and clamped them together using the clamps they had. And I had this hollow rectangle that was one complete hollow box. And I said to myself, well, wait a minute, I want to do this. I want to make a box out of this. How am I supposed to do this? I got to have a lid. The other 2 guys have a lid to it. What am I going to do here? No. Bob was over to my house a couple of weeks ago, and I showed him this. He thought this was cool. Excited about that. Fellas, I have a jig here that'll just gonna blow your tongue picking mine. Some of you people may already know about this trick, but I thought it was so cool. And Jerry Forshe came up with this, and he showed us how to use it and what it was done. And I looked at the man, I said, sir, may I please copy your design and make some of my own and take it home so I can use it in my shop? He said, absolutely. So I did. I took a 1 inch by 1 inch or thereabouts, 12-inch long piece of scrap. I ran it down long ways, down a table saw, about 3/8 of an inch blade height. Okay, then I took one of these sticks, and because it's fatter than what the kerf of the saw is, I sanded it down to, I sanded the sides down to this size here, okay? Then I took the whole stick and I put some glue in the slot, and I glued a stick in there. And then I cut the ends off, and then I cut it directly in half, okay? All right, and take this apart. And this is, well, no, I won't because it's too tight. All right, this is what it looked like. I'll pass this around for you, okay? All right, well, now wait a minute. What am I supposed to use this for? All right, good question. I gotta cut the top off the bottom. All right, so let's pretend this is a 6-sided box that I can't get to the inside, and it's hollow. All right, there was a picture of I had a picture of this thing on my table saw. Okay, you take the 2 long sides and you run it down your saw. Once, you flip it over and you do it again. You put it up against the fence, wherever you want your box lid to be. Then you use these 2 guys, because this is the width, the kerf width of your table saw blade. Okay, because you cut a channel in a long piece of wood here with that table saw blade. Okay, and you got a piece of wood in there. Okay, so that must be the same size as your table saw. So you put these guys into the holes that you just that you, into the slots that you just cut. Then, and I didn't finish it, because I wanted to show you how to do it. You turn your piece like this, put it up against the fence in the same position. You push it down and you cut the third side. Then you move these guys back up to this side and you repeat the process. And voila, you have got a box perfectly cut in half with the top and the bottom. Okay? And this was just made out of scrap. Great idea, blew me away. Now, when I pass these around, you look at this. Take a look at what I've got all the way around here, and take a look at how well they match up without gaps and what have you. And that's because this thing did a really, 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 really cool job. Okay? And that's true for all three of these boxes. My story stick. I gotta get hinges in this. How am I gonna do that? Okay, all right. I got ahead of myself. I had 7 pages here on everything I wanted to do. Like I said, each one of these 3 boxes were done exactly in terms of how I did it and the steps that I did it. They're done exactly the same. Okay, so I can just make this presentation for just one of the boxes. Now, the story stick, and I'll pass this around, you'll be able to see my pencil markings in it. He wanted some style here, okay? And these guys, I forgot to bring them. He gave us some to take home. He just did a little triangle cutout. Again, he fashioned his wood to be the size of the curved size of a saw blade, okay? And this is the value of a story stick. Wherever you want to put your stiles in here, okay, you mark them on your story stick, okay, and that gives you some registration as to where it's going to go. You mark the one, this one right here this is where the saw is going to be. This is where my top half and bottom half is going to be. The rest of these are decorative. Because we're doing 45-degree miters, he recommended that you go ahead and you put the stiles in there for making the joint stronger, okay? So before I actually cut the lid off, I ran my box through the table saw to cut out the slots for the stiles. And before you do that, you run it through. Okay, and I also did not bring the box jig that they use. They had a 45-degree box jig up there where you can set your piece in like this, and the saw blade comes up to here, and you just slide it up and then you move it. Okay, and then you get this one, and then you move it, you get this one, and what have you. Okay, I have one of those at home. I didn't bring it just simply because I already had an arm load. And that's what we did before we cut the lid off. Okay, then I ran it through the bandsaw, and because these tabs were all sticking out, I cut off the tabs. Just one at a time through a bandsaw on all 3 of these. That's how we did that. And then I sanded it a little bit more to get it smooth and what have you. Okay. And then I ran it through the table saw to cut the lid off. It's got it in 2 halves. All right. So I got all this stuff done. All right, and I got them all glued together and all that. And let's get to the countersinks. He had a special set of, he had one or two special routers set up with movable fences and clamp downs and what have you for doing the hinges and the little pull tab. You can see the pull tab to open the box lid on this one. I have not installed, there's just one or two small steps for the rest of these. I gotta hurry. And the routers that he had set up were all spaced out, and they had fences and what have you, and you brought your box and you brought your storage stick. So if you wanted to put your hinge this far in to your workpiece, you set the end under over here. You measured how large the hinge that you were going to use, and you cut out the hinge side on your storage stick. You just cut it out. Okay, and this is 3/8 of an inch, I think, deep, and it's 3/4 of an inch long. And you mark it off. You mark it off, and then you flip it over. You only need one of these, okay? So you flip it over so that your second hinge is always going to be equidistant just from the edge like the first one was. And you do this on the top, bottom, and you do that on the top. Okay, then you take it to the master. You got it all marked out, and this is in 2 pieces, and he's got his fence set up and his stop blocks set up, and you just run it through. He had a 1/8 inch size straight router bit in there, and he had it set up as deep as what this is. That's all the farther it protruded, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, okay? And that's all the further that he wanted in there, okay? So he and you cut the countersinks for the hinges, and he did that all Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for all of the students who brought all of their boxes up. And that was what he was doing, and he talked to you and said, yeah, this is good, and blah, 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 and really gave you a whole really cool amount of encouragement and what have you. So I did that with all 3 of these boxes throughout the day, okay? And again, I didn't finish them. I didn't put any shellac on them. I didn't put them together. This one, the holes, in addition to doing the countersink cutouts, I actually drilled the holes, getting a chance to use his center finding depth starter bit, okay, just so I knew how to use it. And when I got home, I bought some of mine off the internet so I could do the next 2 boxes, okay. So at that point, all 3 of my boxes were finished up there, and I brought the story sticks and what have you. Now the last one, the Kleenex box, I have, if you would like, one of the things I did was, I photocopied the dimensions of the Kleenex box. And there's 2 Kleenex boxes in there. There's the one that's long and flat, right? And then there's this one here, because Kleenex comes in 2 sizes, depending on what your wife likes. Okay? If there's not enough there, I can send you another one. I already talked a little bit about doing the hole in it. Okay? Again, we used a slot design to put the top piece into the 4 sides, like I did the bottom of this one and the bottom of the other one over there. Okay, so we used that trick again, and again, he had it all set up perfect, the depth and the width and what have you, the placement of that, so that it will go in here just fine. Okay. Now the reason why this one isn't finished is because I ran out of time and they wouldn't let me use the electric equipment after 6 o'clock. So I had to finish this one 4 weeks later. The other guys, I got 2 of them done, and the other 2 guys that I've got, I had to finish using a spindle sander that they had up there when I was supposed to be doing the finishing class. I just took 10 minutes on my lunch hour and got these hammered out. They're not finished yet because I have to put a quarter round over bit on my router at home and do that. That's what they look like before they're not finished. So you can send those around if you want. Okay, let's talk about, these two boxes are identical. The only thing that's different between this box and these two is I have got several females in my life that I want to build a jewelry box for. And when I first started going to Marc Adams, I got, how much do you need at a timeout?
About another 10, 15 minutes.
Well, I gotta quit. I've got several females I would like to make a jewelry box for. I made the tray at home. Okay, I don't have time to explain it all, and which I knew I was gonna run out of time. Here's a story stick for this guy here. I put the little railings in there for the tray to sit on, okay? And I put the chain on. The chain is a little different from the other two. And I wanted to really make it look nice, so I put some gizmo guys on the top, okay? And what else did I want to talk about? I don't know, you guys got me. At any rate, all right, hey, let me shut up and quit.
Okay.
There's one other thing, wait a minute, let me finish one other thing. This is the extra piece. I had a real long piece. This is the extra piece from him. You got a table saw and you want to cut miters so that you got 4 of them on the inside. And this is another thing that he taught us. Let's pretend that this is much flatter than this and it's perfectly milled and what have you, and I want to make a 4-sided Kleenex box out of it, okay? So you have a table saw with a stop set up on it, and it's got, use a cross-cut sled, and you push it through, and you get one angle off, right? Okay, that's fine. So you want it to be this, but you set your stop block on the back of the cross-cut sled to be exactly that long, and you set it up there, and you push it through, and you cut it, okay? So then what do? Well, you want to have the grain match up, don't you? And you got to cut up a little bit because this side and this side has to be that same angle, okay? So that you can make a square out of it. So you flip your piece over and you run just a very small sliver of it off, okay? Then you flip your piece back over and you slide it down to the stop and you cut your next piece. Okay, and you set it aside. You flip it over, you cut off another little bit. Okay, flip it back over, cut off your third piece, and then repeat. And then when you do that, you do it like that, and you keep the 4 pieces, keep your 4 pieces in order. The grain pattern will line up, and it'll look really, really cool. And he taught us that. And again, the pieces, we ran the pieces through the table saw and cut the slide out so that the top would fit right in there. And that was really a real cool way of doing that. So I got a great introduction to a cross-cut sled and a lot more experience on table saws and what have you. And there's probably some more stuff that I've forgotten, but that's okay. This one here, you guys are going to see this again. My wife and I probably are not going to be able to make the Woodworkers Christmas party this year because we know that we already have conflict. But what I'm going to do is, and this is the reason why I wanted to have it almost all the way finished, so I can show you guys this. I'm going to go ahead and send this over. I'm probably going to give it to Bill Walden who, his wife and my wife and he and I were friends from church and dancing groups and all sorts of stuff. So I'm probably going to give this to him and have him put it in the ladies auction. And even though we won't be there for my wife to make a pick, I'll ask Deb to make a pick for her. But this one here is going to be on the table at Island Bay Yacht Club in December. Okay? Nice. And so if you want to come up and take a look at it, that's fine. I'll hang around. And that's enough.
Okay, excellent.
Real quick, not a question, but a suggestion. You know, those are heirloom kinds of pieces. Sign and date those.
Thank you. My wife,
20, 30 years down the road, when those gets passed on to family, somebody's gonna wanna know, yeah, when did Dad make that? When did Uncle make that?
Yeah.
Sign and date them.
Mark Adams said that 4 years ago in the very, very, very first joinery class that I took from him. He said, the object of this is for us to teach you to be so good that 100 years from now, your descendants are going to be fighting for this piece put together long after you're dead. Thank you. And my wife said the same thing. She said, you need to sign those. I said, I need to get one of those branding stick things where you put your initials on it and you just burn it in there. That's what I really need to do.
Don't forget the date, though. You gotta put the date in.
Yeah, thank you, I will. Okay.
John, you want to go on your show and tell?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very good.
I want to hear how you got your cell phone at the bottom of the river.
Come on up. You can do it from back there.
Well, I made this like 10 years ago for my wife. It's just a wood trivet. 10 pieces of wood, exactly 1 inch each, with a 1/2 inch router bit. Cut 1/2 inch, halfway from each side. I first tried to do it all in one router pass, and it wanted to lift away from the fence. That piece was ruined, so I played with it, and I went over to the other side of my router and passed the piece through the other direction.
The right
And it
direction.
seemed to hug the fence.
Yeah, will you come this way, please? Will you come this way, please?
John, what species?
Fourth to last, yeah.
Where?
Hey, up there, just so we can hear and see you.
With the window behind you, we couldn't see it.
Oh. So it's a walnut maple and this cherry is called Brazilian cherry. And it's just, I don't stand well in open space. I've only got one leg.
Oh, sorry.
Sit down.
Sit down.
I'm good. So after I experimented coming the other way with a router, I decided I wasn't even gonna risk it again. I put 2 fences on my router table, so it couldn't get pulled out. And I also went with each pass in 2 different cuts. I have an anchor jig, or I actually have a joint tech. I don't know if guys used to go to the woodworking show down in St. Louis when it was a good show. I bought a joint tech there, which is kind of like an anchor jig, so I could reposition back to these exact spots and find it again. But my wife said, I made these for my daughters, my wife.
It's pretty sharp. Thanks. I would say if you're gonna come to the walkthrough on the 26th, keep your name badge and maybe get here about 4 till 10 till. And we'll have somebody standing outside.
What time's that gonna be?
Starts at 6.
Starts at 6. Okay.
Probably get there maybe 4 till 10 till.
Yeah.
And keep your badge if you're gonna come. Thank you.
I got one quick announcement.
Yeah.
The Illinois State Fair starts on August 7th. And if you all know where the Dairy Building is, make a stop at the Hobbies Building, which is across the street and down just a short distance. There is what's in there are people that have done crafts and have antiques to show, and they're all judged. And we have a very large kiosk full of about 36 or 37 woodworking projects. Curtis was my judge today, and he was out there and judged those and picked the champion for woodworking. Take a look at what's there, and after this fair is over, I'll try and get some photos and bring them in so you guys can, maybe in 2026, if anyone's interested, you can put together a project and enter it and see what happens and share your talents with the public.
So what one?
Go look. It's pretty cool. It really was pretty cool.
Oh, you can't tell people?
It's a roll top desk.
Oh.
About the size of this box here. And it has a tray, and it pulls out, when you pull the tray out, the roll top secretary part of it opens up, and then you push it back in and it closes up. Very intricate. The uniqueness was too much for me to not pick that one as the overall. Really. Yeah. If you'd like some shellac, it's $5 a bag.
Jim?
And that's cheap.
Yeah, for anybody who's interested in wood carving, the Sangamon Valley Wood Carvers Annual Show and Sale is on Saturday, August 30th, up at the Williamsville Community Center in Williamsville. There should be an ad in or notice in the Illinois Times as well. But if you're interested in wood carving, that's coming up at the end of the month.
Will you give Dave that information? So
Sure.
we can put it in that?
Yep.
And then we were kicking around making boxes for next month, so that we could do it and be able to do an exchange like we did with that